Depression slumps are the worst. Usually when I'm in one, I'm struggling to the max. It takes me weeks and sometimes months to get out of one, and due to that, I usually don't fully get out before the next one starts. So I made a plan. I got myself out of it. I'm not going to say fully or all the way. It was work. Hard work. Had to be consistent work. But to figure out why I did what I did in those 30 days, I'm going to take you back to the month prior. I was sitting one day in June. I started crying heavily, badly. Snot-covered, stress-ridden mess badly. All because I was overwhelmed with the number of things that I had on my forever growing to-do list. So, between my apartment being a deep, dark visual representation of my depression and me feeling stressed about it, I knew I needed change, and I knew I needed it fast. But I didn't want to overpush myself and back up at square one. I needed to change so many things, and I'm an all or nothing person. Have been my entire life. So I did what I do best, and I made a list. I wrote down everything that was stressing me and why it was stressing me out, and then I sat there and did nothing for 2 days other than think and overthink and cry. I also went to work and then came home and overthought some more. I made another list, this time a priorities list. I looked at the first list and reorganized it again and again and again until I was in so many tears, I stopped doing everything again for like 3 days. So, between the first breakdown, and the next thing I did, a week had already gone by. And I was in the same place. So, when I feel like I don't have the knowledge or the skill to do something, I did what everybody else would do. I went to YouTube and searched how to fix my life, and then watched those types of videos for the next 3 days, but nothing was fixed. And then it hit me like a truck, a full-on 18-wheeler semi-truck. Nothing was going to change. Nothing was going to help unless I did something that would move the peg even one spot. So I washed all my dishes. I hand dried them, put them away. Because all of the dishes were done, I washed the stovetop, the front, the counters, the cabinets. Everything in the kitchen was spotless for the first time in weeks. And it was the best my apartment had felt in weeks. It was like a weight had shifted just slightly off my chest and shoulders. And the next morning, I decided my one goal was to do 20 minutes of dishes a day. 20 minutes, that's it. Most times, it took less than 15. Takes less than 15. And then there are some days where it takes like an hour. And I'm not gonna lie. This is realistic. And in the last month I've been doing that, I've only missed 6 days total of doing the dishes. And none of them were 2 days in a row. So I feel like that's an achievement in itself. But after that first initial week of keeping up with the dishes, I decided to sit down and look at the very first list again. And the list where I wrote out all the reasons and why I was unhappy with my life, and decided to do what I do best and turn it into a to-do list. So here's what I did to feel better. A lot better. Am I 100%? No way. Am I closer to 100 than where I was when I started? Oh, yes, absolutely. But here we go. Welcome to everything I did in 30 days to get out of my funky depression pit. One of the first things I did was set up a chore chart. I'll make a whole video on that by itself later. But basically, I wrote out all the things I needed to do daily, weekly, and monthly. I don't really have quarterlies, but you could have those on if you needed. Then I printed it out and I put it on my fridge. The visual of having it on the fridge helped a lot more than I thought it would. The physical aspect of marking off the task versus hitting the button gave me so many happy juices, so much dopamine. that I started to get excited to do chores. I would speed run doing them correctly, because that's the big part right there, right? Doing them correctly just to mark them off, to see all the little boxes get filled in. But the chore chart itself wasn't enough. I was kind of just doing chores randomly throughout the day, which in itself drained me. So I set up what I now call the 4-hour productivity window. It didn't start off like that though. It started off as a 3 solid hour space to clean, which again was draining. Are we seeing the pattern yet? So I added an hour and breaks. You've probably heard the 25 minutes on, 5-minute break thing. Yeah, well, it doesn't work for me like that. I work really well in 15 and 20-minute blocks, but multiple blocks at a time. So what I did, what works best for me now, is working for 60 minutes, taking a 15-minute break, restart the 60 minutes until 4 hours goes by. Technically, it's 3 hours and 45 minutes, but 3 hour and 45 minute productivity window doesn't have the same catch as 4 hours. And I usually take a 15-minute cool down at the end, so it's okay. Now, something I realized right away when I transferred over to the 4-hour productivity block was that it didn't take 3 hours of on time to get everything done and clean. So remember how I said I was in a depression hole and that I was an all or nothing person trying to change? Yeah, well, I decided to start deep cleaning at least one area of my apartment a day and for an hour a day, and it didn't work. I was trying to do it until I was caught back up, but it was draining because it was an hour a day deep cleaning, when sometimes the deep cleaning really was just taking everything out and then putting it back in its right spot, and it took 20 minutes. And then I would try to do another task, and that task would actually take an hour and a half. It was draining and annoying and awful. So I switched it up. I decided I needed to work on myself in other areas also, such as journaling, doing art, hobbies, and working on mental health, so that it became an every other day thing. I had found balance with that. I started a new bullet journal. I'll do a video on that one too later. I started a new bullet journal. I'll do a video on that later. I went roller skating twice. I actually picked up my ukulele and practiced for a whole hour one day. Oh, that felt so good. Can only play 3 chords. Sort of 4. Not really. But I'm better than where I was a year ago. I'm not fully caught back up. I have like 4 things left to do. And one of them's going to literally take 5 minutes because it's literally just go through my tote bags, get rid of the ones I don't want, and keep the ones I use. Because I have like 20 tote bags. I don't need that many tote bags. So, by the time this is posted, hopefully I'll only have like 1, maybe 2 things left. So, with my daytime schedule being better, I'm not going to say fixed because it's still mayhem in its finest form, just calmed down and relaxed. Regardless, my sleep schedule needed help desperately. But I knew having a strict bedtime wasn't for me. So just like I did with the productivity window, I made a bedtime window. I know from an earlier bedtime sleep experiment, earlier as in earlier in the year, that I did on myself, that 7.5 hours is my sweet spot for sleeping, for like good amount of rest. I looked at the latest I can be up during the week when I have opening shifts at my job, which is 7 in the morning, meaning I have to be asleep by 10:30 or 11:30. Sorry, I have to be asleep by 11:30, meaning in bed by 11. So that was the starting my window, 11 p.m. And again, for 1 a.m., because the latest I would like to be up is like 9. So there we go. Set my alarms accordingly. Basically, I look at my schedule for the week, go go into my alarm app, set my alarms for the wake up time as needed for the days they're needed, have them set not for those days, and just have like 4 alarms per throughout the week, and make sure that the 11 o'clock alarm is set for every night of the week, just in case I want to go to bed a little early, because I don't mind waking up a little early. Now, when I started the bedtime / wake up time windows, I started sleeping better. I started getting tired around midnight, going to bed by 12:30, being asleep by 1. Felt great. It felt amazing. It was so good to be well rested. I hate waking up. Not the waking up part. The getting out of bed part. So, despite all of the internet people saying don't be on your phone first thing in the morning, I built in a 20-minute window of scrolling TikTok. And it actually made waking up and getting out of bed easier. It gave my brain something to focus on as I was waking up, instead of just getting up and being anxious mess right from the start. Now, with sleep basically fixed, I was in a much better place. But here's a few honorable mentions that also helped me throughout the month. I put all of my get ready things in the same space. You would think that that would be common sense, but my problem is as I get ready, they go throughout my apartment. So now, right before bedtime, I get my outfit for the next day together, and I put all of that stuff back in one centralized area for first thing in the morning. It made everything less anxious. I also bought a whiteboard calendar to help me with things. I started going for walks in the morning to enjoy some fresh air. And I've started a habit of buying orange juice from the gas station like 3 times a week, which not helping my budget, but that's a different problem for a different day. The next thing on my list that I needed to fix was food. Well, eating. Food was never really the issue. It was eating the food. It's not that I don't have food or foods I like. I do all my own grocery shopping. Way before I started this journey, this time around, I developed an issue with food. No matter how much I had going on, no matter how much I had done in a day, I didn't feel like I earned the right to eat. This time around, I started to see how much I was doing. I started to actually get hungry. Living off of snacks wasn't enough. So I started off small, 1 meal a day with as many snacks as I wanted, and now, just a little over a month later, and a lot of work, I'm having 2 meals every day and as many snacks as I want, and some days I have 3 meals. It's fantastic. I was sleeping better, being more productive, eating actual meals, getting more done. But with all of that came a whole big jump of energy I didn't know how to use in a creative manner, so I started working out 3 days a week. Walking wasn't enough movement anymore. I can't run the way I used to. For those of you who've been with me on this channel for a long time, you know that in high school, I started running. That's how I got through the pandemic for the most part, was running. My knees are completely messed up from sports in school, gym in school, wearing a 50-pound backpack 5 days a week for, basically an entire school year. And I just can't run the way I used to anymore because of it. So I started finding online videos on YouTube and TikTok and saving them into playlists and doing, workouts at home. I really like it. I have about 30 videos saved. There's a few I've repeated. Your workouts don't have to be boring and hard to be a workout, to be exercise. They don't. Exercise should bring you enjoyment. And sadly, with the working out and the exercising came my hygiene. Now remember, I was in a deep, deep, dark depression pit when all of these started changing, right? I had been there for almost a year at that point, right? meaning my depression pit was physically a me issue also. I went from showering twice a week to showering every other day again. Before anybody says anything, I can't shower more than every other day, or my skin, even with lotion. Yes, I promise I lotion every single day after every single shower. Even with lotion, my skin hates me, absolutely hates me, including my scalp. I started to get eczema on my scalp if I wash my hair more than like every other day. With the showering every other day though, came taking care of my hair, washing my face, brushing my teeth again, taking care of my fingernails and cuticles, and most importantly, getting dressed every day. You know how I said I was picking out my outfits? That didn't come until after the hygiene thing. It's just something that helped, and I wanted to mention it multiple times. It was that if I didn't have anywhere to go, I was staying in my pajamas. I was not leaving this apartment. Meaning I was staying in that stay in bed mindset and not getting help with the depression. I said I was picking out my outfits earlier, right? But I just kind of want to let you know this is not a chronological timeline. It really isn't. But anyways, now I was sleeping well, eating better, exercising more, going for daily walks, being productive, getting a lot done, all in the course of 25 days at that point, right? Now came the biggest challenge, socializing. Not with other people, with myself. I hate silence. I hate being alone. At the best of times, I still don't like myself. But I did two things to help with that. I started dressing up cuter. I started dressing more confidently and the way I wanted to dress when I was in high school but didn't have the confidence for. I feel better doing that, right? And I started taking myself on little mini dates. Started off as simple things as sitting in the park with my notebook, and then going to the museum, and then going to the mall to get food. And that's where I'm currently at. I'm just trying to get used to being out of my apartment. I kind of developed agoraphobia at one point for basically everything else besides work, because even work was a struggle because I just got super anxious that something bad was going to happen. But through all of that work, and because I was doing all of that, I got together with my best friend multiple times outside in July. We went to a 4th of July festival thing. We went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine. We went to the AJR concert in NYC at the Madison Square Garden. Tell me that isn't cool. I started working on a better bucket list, right? Because I was doing all these things, I started focusing in on what I wanted. It was all 100% me, no one else's influence. Then I started working on a better, more detailed journal. I decided to make part of it a junk journal because that's what I needed in my life. Then I started working on a new vision board. Again, all 100% me. I started journaling my thoughts and ideas out again instead of keeping everything in my head. That's something I let affect me. Here's something that I let affect me that I should have never let affect me the way it did was other people. I'm not saying other people aren't helpful or they aren't good to have around you. I made the choice. I made the choice to have the wrong people around me. It was hard to see that, and it hurt a lot when I did see it. But I set better boundaries, and I looked at everybody in my life and how much stress they were causing, and I had honest conversations with people. And the two people who literally were not receptive to anything I was saying in my entire trying to be calm and polite about it, I dropped. I don't talk to them anymore. They are completely blocked. And my stress has gone down 10 times the amount I thought it would. And it felt good. I like having a better self-esteem. I like feeling better. I'm genuinely more happy now than I was before. Now here's the rundown. The basics of what I did to fix my sleep. The basics of what I did was fix my sleep, set up a routine for the day to get work done, start exercising, eating better. P.S. I started drinking more water too. Just a side note there for you. I started spending more time with myself as a friend. Started treating myself like I was a friend. Am I saying this will work for everyone? No, absolutely not. This is just what I did to help myself, and maybe, just maybe, it'll help someone else too. So my advice really is take it slow. You don't have to be all or nothing. You can just go with the flow and fix the things as they pop up instead of trying to do it all at once. We're not Clark Kent. We're not Superman. We can't have the world on our shoulders and expect to fix it overnight. So look at the things that are really, really wrong and start. Just pick somewhere and start. That was the hardest part for me, was just starting. I hope you guys get something from this video. Thanks for watching.